Welcome back to a special episode of Benny's Custom Works, proudly supported by Sparesbox and Valvoline. Don't forget BCW5 on checkout. This week we've got my mate Ian here beside me. You may have seen Ian floating around the internet. You're also going to see Ian pretty soon on some BCW content as well. We've got a bit of a build as a side project going on at the moment. We're currently down here on location at Cootamundra Airport. We are doing a bit of a collab and a build off. I don't know, I should probably talk too much about it, but it's currently it's currently underway. Can't say who it's with, but some of you on the internet will probably work out by the location we're at. You could probably guess who we're working with. But we did put the call out on the internet for a bit of a Q&A again. It's a while since we've chatted about the channel, all things Benny, all things BCW, and all of the shit crate cars that I have lying around. So I thought, rather than me read your questions and then talk about them, Ian's going to be the question master today, and we're going to do probably 20 or so questions because otherwise you guys are going to be bored to death. So let's kick it off, Ian.
Will the Cresta be back in the USA for Drag Week 2022, asks Todd.
Todd, I'm 99% sure we will be there. I'm definitely aiming to be there at the moment. We're currently discussing all sorts of logistics and back end and actually doing a bit of a suss out of what's financially viable. Last time we went to Drag Week, it was pretty expensive, and that was pre-COVID, so shipping stuff's gone through the roof. But yes, we will do everything we can to get back there, both the Cresta and the Fox Mustang and a big crew. So the short answer is yes, we'll be back.
Jason questions, how's the 32 GTR going with the OEM resto? Any updates or plans?
The 32 GTR is still going. We have a set of super neat front seats for that now in the original fabric. There's a little bit of sun fading, but to me that adds to the originality rather than them being retrimmed. The 34 seats have finally been sold. The guy who bought them came and got them about 4 months ago, and then the car's literally sat in my garage. It's actually out of rego at the moment, so I've got to fix that. But yeah, we've got all sorts of stuff going on in the background, still trying to find some stuff for it. It'll probably pop back up on the channel pretty soon. I'd say probably in the next 6 to 8 weeks, depending on parts availability and other bits and pieces. But yeah, it's definitely happening.
Roberto asks, are you planning on doing a fan meet or a BCW track day?
We'll definitely do something. I don't know in what capacity as yet.
Like a bake sale?
It won't be a bake sale. I don't have a food license, so probably can't really do a bake sale. I don't know. I won't rule it out, but there's nothing currently in the back end of BCW.
We have a viewer here asking, what's the story with the Buick that you used to have?
I don't know if we've got enough time to go through the whole story, but the quick rundown of that is when I was a kid, my grandfather had a 50 Buick. It was a Australian delivered right-hand drive 41D model. So it was basically a special, it was a very basic version of a 50 Buick. So basically bought the car, cruised it around for a while. The wiring harness was completely original, and anyone that knows old American cars, the wiring harness is actually wrapped in cloth, not vinyl or plastic. That cloth over 7 years rots and results in electrical fires, which my car did that. Luckily, it was pretty minor as far as damaging the vehicle. Unfortunately, it killed the complete electrical system. I parked it up in the shed for about 3 years. I was a gunner. I didn't want to be a gunner anymore, so I actually sold the car. At some point, sometimes you just got to realize that you're never going to finish it. I had so many plans for that car, but when I actually did the sums, I was going to spend 60 grand on it, and unfortunately, as much as they're cool cars, a 4 or 50 Buick is not worth a lot of money. I may revisit a 50 Buick at some point, but if I was going to do that, I would definitely buy a coupe, probably a 2-door non-post car, hardtop style.
But that wasn't your granddad's car, was it? You
No,
imported
yes,
that one.
Yes, sorry, that was probably missed in the story. So the 50 Buick that you guys have seen before, the black one, is I believe it was a Model 50, which is a super. So it's a longer body, different roof, and I brought that in 2013, I believe, and actually brought it in through Iron Chef Imports. That was the first car I imported through them. Since then, I've landed 3 or 4 cars through them, one of which you guys haven't seen yet, actually, so that's coming to the channel pretty soon as well.
Well, that leads on.
And it's a Subaru.
That leads on pretty well to the next question. Ollie asks, are there any plans for the Century in the future, or are you happy with how it is at the moment?
100%. There's definitely going to be a lot more Century content this year, both maintenance and modification. There's a few things that I don't like about the factory air suspension, so we're going to try and address a lot of those issues. I I probably want to do a little bit more sort of styling to it because I haven't actually done any styling of the car other than the wheels. I do have some new wheels coming as well, but I don't know if they're actually going to make it to the car because after I purchased them, I found out that the offsets were actually incorrectly listed. So depending on how incorrect they are, they may actually not fit the car. So I don't want to kind of show those yet because I don't want to be like, yeah, they're going on the car. Oh no, they're not going on the car. Okay. But I will change the wheels at one point because as much as I love the MS3s, I would much prefer to get a flat lip 19 than a step lip 19 on it because in my opinion, the step lip makes the wheel look a lot smaller and that car needs visually really large wheels to actually fill it out.
I cannot wait to see it on 24 by 5 inch Ronald Bears.
No, they're 8s, bro. Don't give it away.
Simon Telford. G'day,
Shout out to Telf.
Telfo's a legend.
Telf's a ledge.
When does the blower go on the IS200?
I probably won't do forced induction purely because, as I very recently learned at Summer Nats, shit, when's this video coming out? Anyway, I bent the rods in the Lexus. Ooh, hello, friend. Turns out 6 litres with blowers are probably not going to be that great. I'll probably build a motor at some point too. ACM are awesome to deal with. They're going to supply us another engine to do something with. So we'll work that out in the background and then you guys will see what's going on at a later date. But in short, we're going to fix up some LS stuff. I do want to try and get some Harrop stuff going on the car.
Hi Heath.
Hey Heath, I'm Benny. We're going to chat soon. I actually would really like to use one of their individual throttle body manifolds that looks like this. Anyone that knows what this means will know what those manifolds are.
The Hurricane.
Yeah, that thing's cranking. The thing already sounds somewhat like a supercar, so I think once we do these ones, it'll sound even more awesomest. But yeah, it's at this point, and to be brutally honest, it actually doesn't need any more power. The thing rips. So I think 500 horsepower NA in that car will be way too much fun and actually too expensive because at the moment I get about 20 minutes out of $200 worth of tyres. So a drift day costs me about $1,000 between tyres and fuel. But that's another story for another time. Next question, Mr. Ian.
Shane asks, I hear you're into the good old mini trucks.
Oh, I know what Shane that is. Shout out to Shane, he's a top dude. Known Shane for a long time. I do like a good mini truck. Let us know when we find some. No, that's a piss take actually. There's a ton of really well-built mini trucks in Australia. A lot of them are based on late model Japanese trucks that have early model bodies or imported bodies, so that's cool in itself. I have never owned a mini truck to this point. I've always been fascinated by I guess I've always liked a long roof, so I'm more like a surf body on a Hilux chassis or a Ford Raider on a Bravo chassis or one of those kind of, or like a 4Runner or a Surf or more of the wagony SUV stuff that's like, I've always liked stuff on airbags and the Century is actually kind of my first foray into air suspension. So I do like a mini truck. Haven't owned one yet, but I wouldn't rule it out. And there's always cheap mini trucks on Marketplace, I've noticed, but the reason they're cheap is because none of them are engineered and most of them aren't engineerable because a lot of the dudes, as much as I love mini truckers, have a crack, which is fantastic, but they generally don't talk to the right people before they start. And 9 times out of 10, you basically condemn the chassis by the way you cut it, the way you join it, the way you do it, because engineering is expensive too in Australia.
You can build airbagged, body-dropped mini trucks that are off their head,
but you need to start with an engineer
Jazzy
on
Greens.
Day one. That thing's fantastic.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jazzy. Actually, that truck is I saw that at Summer Nats, actually at the Street Machine of the Year party. That's the first time I've ever seen that truck. Jazzy built that in her shed. I guess that's had probably 6 or 7 iterations of that build between all sorts of stuff. She's lengthened the wheelbase, basically front swapped it, but not bought anything. It's all hand fabricated, late model surf stuff. She's like built her own stretch tub. From memory, she went to America,
she brought
cut the sections out of a taco, slivered them down the middle, and then packed them in her suitcase, brought them back, welded them together, and then still fabricated 99% of it anyway. So, like by all means, I'll try and get a link to her socials in there. I don't know if she's actually got a build page or anything for the truck, but if she does, I'll try and leave it in the comments, because that in itself is a fantastic build.
Kian asks, "G'day, Kian. How you doing, mate?"
More Street Machine homies.
They
yeah,
love
the
you,
boys.
It's
a mutual love.
It's one big pond that we all swim in.
Yeah, there's a lot of ponds.
There is.
Do love a pond.
So hopefully no
pond now.
crocodiles.
It's bloody warm.
Are you doing Drag Challenge weekend in March?
Yes. As long as, no, well, I'm going to put the pressure on you, Kian. I would like to roll my entry over from the defunct last year Drag Challenge to the Drag Challenge weekend, and I don't want a refund of the difference. So holler at your boy if you can make that happen.
Daniel asks, something that might be cool to know is what or who got you interested in cars and what inspired you to start the BCW channel?
That's a very long question, two-part question. In short, my grandfather, I kind of touched on his 50 Buick. He had a lot of restored style, like older cars. He had a HK Premier, I think. I think it was a HK. I actually sold, funny side story, I sold that car on Marketplace to a fella. Actually, I won't even say what state it's from because it'll probably cause problems. And it magically popped up a month later with a brand new logbook that was from 1971, which the car didn't have when I sold it. So either the guy's a fantastic detective or a magician.
Did he turn up to buy it in a DeLorean?
He didn't.
Oh.
I can't remember what he turned up in actually. It was actually a really nice guy. And you know what?
Older dude called Doc Brown?
No, it wasn't.
Oh.
Actually, you know what I will say? To be... what is that? It's got me. I think that's an ant. We'll still use that. The guy who had it for sale wasn't actually the same guy that I sold it to. So I'll take that back out of the ring. The guy I sold it to didn't necessarily make the book appear.
Fair enough.
That was a weird segue.
I mean... You never know.
That's generally
where
what happens with these kind of chats.
You never know where you're going to go. Like you start off talking
people are
about
turned off by now anyway. This is going to be like a 3-minute view video. And
did you know that ducks' quacks don't echo? I mean, like we're teaching people things.
Quack, yeah. This is nearly a soft-shelled crab chat.
This is like people are going quackers for this stuff.
Anyway,
sorry.
Moving right along.
Jacob asks, "What's your favourite car that you've ever owned?"
It's too hard of a question to answer because they're favourite in different ways. The Stadge is probably the first massive build that I did, so that'll always hold a place in my heart.
There's one parked under a carport at home that I reckon you've had for ages.
That's the longest car I've owned, 100%. I've had that since I was like 18 or 19, and that car's the reason that we met.
Yep.
Or those cars, I should say. That car's also going to make an appearance again this year in the channel. But yeah, I don't have any immediate plans as far as timeline. I do have a plan for the build, but I don't have a timeline yet.
That's because we're still super cool two-tone Gen 1 Subaru Liberty/Legacy for people overseas. You've never done an episode on that, have you? Like that was a build that sort of progressed.
I think it's popped up somewhere on the channel before.
That build progressed through so many iterations, and then you kind of came out with it at Auto Salon when that was a thing. And I was working for Auto Salon magazine
MCM
at
probably,
that time.
which you got me a feature. Shout out to Ian for that. Issue 83, 2 issues before the magazine became defunct.
Yeah.
Still have most of those Auto Salon magazines, which I found cleaning the house the other day. Put them in storage, didn't put them in the bin. I've binned a lot of magazines, but didn't bin any Auto Salons.
It's such a trip to think back in time. Like that was when people debuted late model cars.
There was no
shows.
that was the event to take it to. Like Motorex was still dominated by chrome bar cars. Summernat's obviously much the same. Both of those events have probably almost morphed into filling the gap of Auto Salon.
Yeah.
Which I think is good because you still get people bringing late model stuff. I've actually seen in the last 2 Summernats between 34 and 35. I've seen. No, 33 and 34. 35 doesn't exist yet.
That's right.
Yeah, between 33 and 34, I've seen 2 OG Auto Salon cars restored, I guess. One of the cars kind of is still owned by the original owner, and they've just kind of maintained it. But the Green Ghost, which is a Series 1 S14, Series 1 S14, Series 2.
Series, I can't remember if it's a Series 1 with a Series 2
I can't remember,
front.
yeah. So Green Ghost was like an OG Auto Salon car.
Crazy paint.
That was built by, mechanically was built by Croydon, I think.
Yeah,
I'm going to be wrong. Someone can correct me in the comments.
There'll be a lot of Nissan chassis people out there who know.
I want to say that was Hot Fours and Rotary's cover car.
Yeah.
And then it was like, the car was parked on an angle like that, and then there was a chick in front of it, and the funky text like there always was.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure the back colour of the cover was green.
The thing is, like, those cars are of a time, and it's a bit like, so in Australia, panel vans were in the late 70s. That's what everyone was building.
I saw a random show van pop up on Marketplace in Darwin the other day.
The Auto Salon era is exactly the same as the panel vans of the 70s. Like, it's just of its time. And I think what Auto Salon has given a lot of other shows like Summer Nats and Motor X is the show side of it, like more entertainment. There was always a lot of, like, there was people dancing on stage, and there was, you know, musicians.
It was
and all sorts of stuff.
I remember Auto Salon over the years. I'm sure there was like a breakdance battle, and then I think even there might have been like, I think the actual last Auto Salon ever in Sydney might have had like a 3-on-3 basketball challenge or something. There was always like a sideshow going on, and I remember one of the old Auto Salons from like 2006, maybe 2006, 2007. You could actually go out. There was like tents outside with more cars in them, and then they kind of changed to having a different pavilion and a bigger pavilion, and then it was like, at one point there would be 1,000 cars there. Like, it was that was like at the height of Auto Salon. There was cars everywhere,
and it really changed. But a lot of people sort of, when they talk about the Auto Salon era, they forget that when it started kind of in the late 90s with, like, you know, even coming out of Small Car Sunday and things like that, the cars had big chrome bin lids for wheels and all that sort of stuff, and they had airbrushing.
But they were all actually made, but for the most part, those bin lid wheels were actually made by Enki and AME. They were still, but they weren't like
the cars
$500 Wish wheels either. Like, they were quality made. Like,
we really saw drifting kick off in sort of 03, 04 in Australia, and by 06, 07, the JDM scene, T37s and you know, Bride seats and Vertex body kits and all that sort of stuff. That really,
Sparko stuff. And
that really kind of like changed the cars that came to Auto Salon. That's also when we started seeing mini trucks turn up at Auto Salon, and older cars. Like, they actually, Auto Salon originally was only post 86.
I remember seeing, was it Jason Luttrell's 100 Series Cruiser?
The Land Bruiser.
That was my first real eye-opener for this wagons, for want of a better term, four-wheel drives on Hilux chassis or a Bravo chassis or a Holden Rodeo chassis. Like, you find a commercial vehicle and then jam a four-wheel drive body on it, and then because the guards are huge, you can put massive wheels under them and still have
the
room in the back.
The Land Bruiser was a 100 Series Cruiser on a Hilux chassis. There's also a green one. James Buick's built
which
a green
looks like
one
a big Forester
with a 1UZ. Yeah, and they look, I mean, they look really cool in my opinion. But the internet burns themselves to the ground over whether they're cool or the worst things
I'm all
ever.
up in that.
Jeremy Kidd asks you, how did the IS2's, when it was supercharged, how did the IS200's gearbox hold up to the abuse?
Fine. Those gearboxes, that was a very definite answer. Those gearboxes are in a ton of different cars with different bell housings and tail housings on them. It's an Aizen 6-speed. I'll get the model code wrong. But they basically were in like MX-5s, RX-8s, S15s. The Altezza Beams is basically the same box as well. There's no doubt a ton of cars I've forgotten, but 200 and something kilo, BRZ 86 is the same box as well. But yeah, basically around 250 kilowatts is when they break. So when we were making 100 kilowatts, that thing was happy as. It had, when I supercharged it, had over 300,000 Ks on it. So yeah, that thing was still happy days.
The last question here comes from Ian, who is sitting in Cootamundra.
Oh yeah.
He asks, when are we going to go get a frothy?
Frothy's on the way home, faux show.
Sick. Shall we jog on?
We are jogging on, are we? Smashing. Well, as always, I want to say a massive thank you to you guys for partaking in this video, because without you guys, we wouldn't have the questions to answer. And without you guys watching the videos, we wouldn't have people to make videos for. We're very fortunate that we've grown the channel to the size because of you guys following it. I want to say massive thanks to you guys as always. Thanks to my friend Ian, shout out to Gian, and shout out to Sam, sending over being patient because he's waiting on frothies too. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.